Golden shovels. This is the final step in my masterclass. If you've been following the other videos, then by now you would have written drafts of a how-to poem, a list poem, and a palindrome. And you would have also read and looked into 5 poems which explore those forms. Do check out those videos before diving into this one. In this video, we're going to explore the golden shovel form. This is a contemporary form of poetry which was created by Terence Hayes, an American poet who was inspired by another poet, Gwendolyn Brooks. She's the poet I mentioned in the 3rd video. Her poem, We Real Cool, is set in a place called the Golden Shovel. Hayes took the words from this poem and created a poem in which each line ends with each of the poem's words in the order they were written in. I like to describe it as an acrostic poem, but instead of the letters of the words running along the left-hand side of the page, a sentence, or in the original case, a whole poem is used, and the words of that sentence or poem run down the right-hand side of the page, so that the lines end on those words, or with variations of those words, as we'll see when we read the examples. I'll read both Gwendolyn Brooks' poem and Terence Hayes' poem, which will demonstrate the creation of this form way better than I can explain it. We Real Cool by Gwendolyn Brooks. The pool players, 7 at the golden shovel. We real cool, we left school, we lurk late, we strike straight, we sing sin, we thick gin, we jazz June, we die soon. The Golden Shovel by Terence Hayes, after Gwendolyn Brooks. 1. 1981. When I am so small, Dar's sock covers my arm, we cruise at twilight until we find the place the real men lean, bloodshot and translucent with cool. His smile is a gold-plated incantation as we drift by women on bar stools with nothing left in them but approachlessness. This is a school, I don't know yet, but the cue sticks mean we are rubbed by light, smooth as wood, the lurk of smoke thin to song. We won't be out late. Standing in the middle of the street last night, we watched the moonlit lawns and a neighbour strike his son in the face. A shadow knocked straight. Dar promised to leave me everything, the shovel we used to bury the dog, the words he loved to sing, his rusted pistol, his squeaky Bible, his sin. The boy's sneakers were light on the road. We watched him run to us looking wounded and thin. He'd been caught lying or drinking his father's gin. He'd been defending his ma, trying to be a man. We stood in the road, and my father talked about jazz, how sometimes a tune is born of outrage. By June, the boy would be locked upstate. That night we got down on our knees in my room. If I should die before I wake, Dar said to me, it will be too soon. 2. 1991. Into the tented city we go, weakened by the fire's ethereal afterglow, born lost and cooler than heartache. What we know is what we know, the left hand severed and schooled by cleverness, a plate of weekdays cooking, the hour lurking in the afterglow, a late night chant, into the city we go. Close your eyes and strike a blow. Light can be straightened by its shadow. What we break is what we hold. A singular blue note, an outcry singed, exiting the throat. We push out until we thin, thinking we won't creep back again. While God licks his kin, we sing until our blood is jazz. We swing from June to June. We sweat to keep from weeping, groomed on a diet of hunger. We end too soon. To me, the golden shovel is about a legacy. It's about past and future, building on what has come before, which means that we must learn about what has come before. You must know the rules to break them. It's about evolution and learning from others and pushing ideas into new territories. What I love about this form is that it recreates. It is the erasure of one thing for another. It becomes its own history. Therefore, think about what is being replaced, what is being erased, and what impact does that have on the narrator of the poem. It also offers playfulness with regards to words. Some words might be stretched over the line break. For example, nowhere could be broken into now with here starting on the line below. And some words might be contained in other words. For example, in Hayes' poem, weakened and cooler are broken apart to we and cool. And there are other words in the second stanzas. So go back and see if you can hear where other examples of where words have been broken apart are. Your final exercise is to take a line of poetry from anything that you have written or indeed read and create a golden shovel poem from it. As a final bit of inspiration, I will read you one of my top favourite poems. It is called The First Time You Hold a Gun and is written by Caleb Femi. This poem for me embodies the golden shovel form because it hosts sacrifice. It spans life in its giving and taking. It is resolute. Whilst it is not one, it is an example of the power of the golden shovel, an attempted erasure of one thing for another. And this is the essence in which I approach golden shovels with. The First Time You Hold a Gun by Caleb Femi. I held it in my hands. It was soft like my mother's teeth. My gums still remembered that sensation and gave my hands the memory. Amid the dull chiming of an evening light, I sat as a beggar boy would, knowing the press of metal heavy in my palms, near my own as a newborn. My spine remembered the weight of my infant body and gave my hands the memory. As I moved to tuck it into a corner, dark enough to muffle its blushing coat, I sensed it glint between my fingers, shimmering like my mother's skin during cradle song. My eyes remembered the view from a cot and gave my hands the memory. One thing must be given for one thing. That is the nature of bartering. Now all that is soft, weighted, shimmering, carries the echo of a gun, and not my mother. Thank you very much for listening and watching and taking part. I look forward to reading and hearing all of your poems. I'm Deanna Rodger, and this has been my masterclass on form in poetry.